Hi, everyone. My name is Kiris. This is our daily astrology cosmic superpower for Sunday, October 30th, 2022. The big news today is that we have the planet Mars stationing retrograde in the sign of Gemini. Mars will move retrograde in the sign of Gemini until January 12th, 2023. Mars is the planet of accomplishing goals. Mars is the male activating energy that gets things done. Mars is virility, health. It rules over muscles, the blood, the life force. Mars in Gemini, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is communication. Mercury is like quicksilver. Mercury at its best notices every small detail and makes the adaptations and changes accordingly. Mercury at its best does not miss anything. It can skim over something so fast, but notice every little detail. This is important with our Mars retrograde in Gemini. Now, when Mars moves backwards from our perspective, when Mars goes retrograde, Mars having to do with anger, stress, frustration, one of the biggest things to take care of yourself with this Mars retrograde in Gemini is to be in touch with how you're feeling when you're stressed, when you're frustrated, when you're feeling angry. Feel your feelings, and all of our human emotions are important. They all serve a very positive effect at the appropriate time and place. This is what I mean. Mars is the planet that protects our boundaries. Mars is the planet that says no. No is a complete sentence. No is something we only have to say once. Now, when we have backed up stress, anger, we've all had those days where we're tired, it's just too much. And then one little thing can be the straw that breaks the camel's back. So with this Mars retrograde in Gemini, being connected to how you're feeling, especially in the area of where and how you may feel like your boundaries are not being respected. For instance, this Mars retrograde in Gemini is happening during the holiday season. How many people, to begin with, stress themselves out unnecessarily by saying yes to everything? Too many events, parties, social invitations. Feel free to say no. Protect your health and vitality. Protect your boundaries. Mars retrograde in Gemini is also not only feeling your feelings, and all of them are essential and necessary, but the Mars retrograde in Gemini is becoming more aware of how much stress and power you lose by what someone says. Gemini is words, it's communication, and words do have power if we give them our power. So if someone has a different opinion, as we see on social media and the culture of the times, we can barely have a conversation and a difference of opinions without there being a conflict. So we don't want the Mars retrograde in Gemini to turn into a war of words. You don't have to let it affect you that way. Gemini and Mercury gives us the ability to make the changes that are appropriate to a situation, where if we are willing to adapt and be flexible, it can change our lives. One of the beauty of this cycle is that if you are someone that has had difficulty in life saying no, establishing your boundaries, then this Mars retrograde in Gemini can teach us to become more aware of what the boundaries are to begin with. And yes, the ability, the Mars energy to say no, to protect your boundaries, to not get into a war of words, to not feel like you have to argue or get into a conflict over your opinions and words. In other words, this Mars in retrograde in Gemini is saying, don't stress yourself out when you begin to feel the anger or the frustration rising up. Walk away. This is the Mars retrograde in Gemini. It can be a great learning experience and cosmic superpower in the sense of whatever anger, frustration issues you're dealing with or may have dealt with in life, this Mars retrograde in Gemini can bring it up to the surface and bring a new way of establishing that you're not going to do that to yourself any longer. Anger yourself, get frustrated, stressed out to the point that one little thing is the last thing as far as you can't take it anymore. Doesn't have to go that way. Now, the Mars in Gemini, after Mars in Gemini moves direct, it will still be in the sign of Gemini. I'm going to create a separate video for that because there's just too many layers and things to cover in this daily short video that I like to offer, and I hope it helps you out. This October 30th, we also have the moon in her detriment in the sign of Capricorn. Now, the moon in her detriment, she's in exile. She's the furthest away from her natural placement, which is the moon in Cancer, her home sign. So the moon in Capricorn is getting in touch with what you need, what you want, how you feel, your feelings. The Mars starting the retrograde cycle in Gemini is most importantly being in touch with if there is any repressed anger, frustration, rage, knowing your feelings, feeling your feelings, of course, always. You never want to deny and repress your feelings. How it's channeled, and with the Mars retrograde in Gemini, it can be channeled in a very healthy way. Remember, Mars rules over the muscles. Exercise, walking, hiking, dancing, yoga, whatever your physical activity is that you enjoy, with the Mars retrograde in Gemini, which is also the breath. Gemini rules over the lungs, the breath. Taking deep breaths can help us so much to center and relax when the pressure is on. There are a lot of techniques we can do during this Mars retrograde in Gemini to be in touch with the truth of how we feel, the ability to say no if you're not used to doing that, establishing the boundaries, and to be healthy and vital and strong. Mars rules over the life force, vitality, the blood. And remember, Mars is the male activating principle, meaning Mars is an outward force, not an introspective inner force. So with this Mars retrograde, which is inner, it's getting in touch with how you feel and how you express it and channel it. at its best and most positively. Thank you, everyone. I will see you all in the stars. Also, please remember to check out my weekly Voice of Astrology podcast, where together we journey with astrology and explore how to connect with the stars, the planets, the energies for our new week ahead. Thank you, everyone. I will see you all in the stars. Thank you.